Hey guys, how's it going? This is Isaiah 4, and this will be an extremely short one, and I'm glad for that because I'm extremely tired and in a lot of pain. My back porch that everybody told me I built wrong, it's lasted 15 years. The water finally weakened the 3/4 inch plywood, so I'm pulling all that off and I'm decking it with 2x4s. And, that's kind of hard to do when you're in a lot of pain and you have a hard time moving. It takes forever. So I'm inching through it slowly. Today I think I'm not going to do anything to it. I'm hurting too much. So I'm glad we have a short chapter so I can get it filmed and take a break. Just the way life is now. Isaiah 4, you guys know where we're at. Isaiah jumped right into it. Hardcore jumped right into it. When we go to Isaiah 5, it really goes long. Now, part of the thing about Isaiah 4 that you need to know, it's not short because that's how he did it. Of course, we know all these chapter divisions were all added by man. I believe the scroll that Isaiah 4 was on, I have to go back and double check, but I think part of it was missing, and this was all they had. But you know that the Lord wouldn't have done that unless he had a reason. So let's see what Isaiah 4, as short as it is, has to say to us. And in that day, 7 women, in what day? Well, we read it in the previous chapter. He's talking about taking all the stuff down. Now, he's when we're reading this, it's events that happened in the past, but it also really smacks of future time. And in that day, 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, We will eat our own food and wear our own apparel, only let us be called by your name, to take away our reproach. That's an interesting verse. They so desperately want to be saved that they want to be married to someone. Now, you guys understand that, your family has a certain level of sanctification because of your salvation. Especially if you're the man of the household. And I forget where all the scriptures are. There's New and Old Testament scriptures that refer to this about your salvation has an effect on them even if they're not saved. I don't fully understand it, but there's a carryover to a certain degree. Now, I don't think it saves them, but I think it may do something else for them. But this seems to link back to that. These 7 women are going to grab one guy they know is righteous, say, hey, we'll take care of ourselves. We're not asking you to be, involved in our lives or anything. We just want to be married to you because we know that's going to give us a carryover. We know we're going to get a little bit of that overspray of what you're getting from God. So instead of just going and getting saved, they're going to say, hey, how'd you like to marry all of us? You ain't got to get involved in anything. We'll take care of ourselves, but, that way we can get a piece of the action. I don't know if it's going to work that way. I don't know if it's going to come out that way, the way they want it, but that's what the Bible says, and it's probably going to be true. There are women that do that now. Most people don't know that. It happens. Verse 2, in that day, the branch of the Lord shall be beautiful and glorious, and the fruit of the earth shall be excellent and appealing for those of Israel who have escaped. For those of Israel who have escaped. When that's talking about the remnant. And it shall come to pass that he who is left in Zion and remains in Jerusalem will be called holy. Everyone who is recorded among the living in Jerusalem. When the Lord has washed away the filth of the daughters of Zion and purged the blood of Jerusalem from her midst by the spirit of judgment and by the spirit of burning. Yeah, this is definitely tribulation. The tribulation. Then the Lord will create above every dwelling place of Mount Zion and above her assemblies a cloud and smoke by day and the shining of a flaming fire by night. For over all the glory there will be a covering. And there will be a tabernacle for shade in the daytime from the heat, for a place of refuge, and for a shelter from storm and rain. Yeah, that's definitely tribulation. Excuse me, guys, I'm really tired and out of it. So whenever we read these, especially in Isaiah 4 goes with Isaiah 3, he basically could have just skipped Isaiah 4 and just added this in because it continues the thought. But clearly, he's showing that there's a pretty bad time frame that's going to come. And of course, it already happened. Isaiah, stuff that Isaiah said happened then. But most of Isaiah is referring to future time frames. Now, we can find aspects of it back then, but most of it's future. And when we read this, like at the verse 4, when he's washed away the filth of the daughters of Zion, that's the tribulation, and he's going to save his remnant and purge the blood of Jerusalem from her midst by the spirit of judgment and by the spirit of burning. Well, that's what the whole tribulation is. Judgment. God says, I'm going to take it out by fire. It's going to be burning. It's going to cleanse everything. And then he's going to change it, the renewal of Zion. And that's what the whole goal of that is. So yeah, this is definitely talking about tribulation. What I love about Isaiah is that Isaiah, you can take the book of Revelation and the book of Isaiah and you can lay them down side by side and you can find the chunks of Isaiah that relate to specific things going on in the book of Revelation, and it gives you greater detail. It would probably take you a lifetime to piece it together, but what a story it would read. It would read like a novel. But you would get greater detail contained with that. Well, we're going to see what we can discover and where we can see some of this, where it might latch to or attach to different chapters in the book of Revelation. What he's talking about here in Isaiah 4 clearly talks about the tribulation in general. And after he does all these things, judgment, then it talks about the millennial reign at the end. Verse 4, verse 5, verse 6. Now, there's other places in Isaiah that are going to talk more in depth about that too. We're going to get further along in the chapters. There's even more detail talking about what's going to happen in the millennial reign. We'll get to that. But I love this because these deeper meanings, these more details for these events, helps us understand what life is going to be like during that time. Helps us understand more about what's coming and even the days prior to that event. And because you can look at that and you can start to pinpoint, hey, wait, where are we at on this time frame? And sometimes that might be very eye-opening. So that was Isaiah 4. Tomorrow will be Isaiah 5, God's disappointing vineyard. And this chapter will start linking us into parables. A lot of parables, and I think we'll see a lot of the same speech contained within that. So guys, that was Isaiah 4. Thank you all for watching. Very short one today. I'll see you in the next one.